I do find it slightly ironic that I'm glad that the Labour Party are now proposing a minimum effective corporate tax rate, but when we proposed it, when you were in government for 5 years, you did not bring in a minimum effective corporate tax rate. When you didn't bring in a minimum effective corporate tax rate. That's facts. There's no history to read. You didn't, right? And we asked you time and time again. So I'm glad you're for it now. But I mean, it's amazing. Right, but Taoiseach, the question, and it is quite strange that Tim Cook's name can't be mentioned. It is a bit odd. And to me, it could be symptomatic. I don't know. Maybe it's just a kind of an office thing or whatever, but there's a fear and a deference to Tim Cook, which I just find, and to Apple, to these corporations, which I just find absolutely extraordinary. And the access that they have when, whatever about Ireland's role, and we disagree on this, Taoiseach, right, about Ireland's role in tax evasion, one thing that is tax avoidance by Apple, is one thing that is absolutely beyond dispute or doubt is that Apple are aggressive tax avoiders and exploiting and abusing loopholes, whether it's in the Isle of Man, loopholes here, loopholes in the Cayman Islands, to evade tax. That's beyond doubt. Now, I just find it a bit odd that we don't challenge them about that, or specifically you don't, that we roll out the red carpet, they get this extraordinary access, and there's no statement by you to say, well, actually, we think Apple should pay their taxes, that it's unconscionable that one of the richest corporations in the world pays less than 2% tax. You know, how can that be anything other than obscene? And I wonder, when you met Mr. Cook, did you also mention to him the extraordinary housing crisis we have in this country, the massive deficit in investment in our water infrastructure, which should be even of importance to him, those two issues, and the 110 million deficit in the public health service? And did you, in that context, maybe reconsider, along with Tim Cook, whether it's a good idea to have a legal action trying to prevent 13 billion being paid into the Exchequer for taxes that the European Union believe that Apple owe to this country? Do those huge deficits in housing and infrastructure not give you and Tim Cook pause for thought?
Deputy Neil Martin.
Yeah, well, just first of all, for the avoidance of doubt, Tim Cook's name can be mentioned in the Chamber, and indeed his name was in my response. I don't know why it didn't appear in the question, but certainly his name was in my response, and I used it in this chamber. So I don't think there's any person in the world whose name can't be mentioned in this. On the whole issue of tax havens, Ireland is not a tax haven. We don't want to be a tax haven, and we certainly don't want to be seen as a tax haven. That's not our industrial policy at all. So we are working with the OECD, particularly with the BEPS process, the base erosion and profit sharing process, to remove any loopholes in our tax system that companies or individuals might use to exploit our tax laws. So we've got rid of the double Irish. We've got rid of the whole idea of stateless corporations. We now have information sharing agreements where we share with other revenue commissioners in other countries how much tax individual companies pay. So we know how much they pay in Germany or how much they pay in Ireland. Really important to make sure that that tax is being paid. And also, only today at Cabinet, we signed off on a further OECD-led international agreement on tax transparency and base erosion and profit sharing that will be ratified by the Dáil to further deal with this issue. To be very frank, once again, large corporations should pay their taxes. They should pay them in full, and they should pay them where they are owed. But there are often disputes about how much is owed and where it is owed. And that is the case for all forms of taxpayers. When it comes to the European Commission's view that Ireland gave Apple state aid by means of a special bespoke tax deal, we dispute that. The argument of the EU Commission is that, and bear in mind it's a state aid case, not a tax case, it's that Ireland gave Apple state aid many decades ago in the form of a special tax deal that wasn't open to other companies. We dispute that, and that will be a matter that ultimately is decided in the European courts. In relation to the court date, we don't yet have a court date. The date for the appeal is at the discretion of the court, and it's expected that we will receive approximately 6 weeks' notice before the date. Although Apple's appeal is separate from Ireland's because they relate to the same subject matter, it is possible that the court will arrange for the cases to be heard together in what is known as a rejoinder. The US government sought from the court to intervene in Apple's appeal. This was rejected by the General Court of the European Court of Justice.